Okay, good evening. I'm going to do a presentation on how to prepare for a debate. So the first thing I'll say is that pretend that you're in a situation where you've signed up for a debate topic, that you know the topic, you know what side you're on, and it's happening in a couple weeks or a few weeks. So the first thing you want to do is you want to give yourself lots of time to ponder and grapple with the topic before you just dive straight into Google and start looking things up. So give it a moment, reflect upon it, just let the concepts roll around in your head. And you never know what might occur to you while you're thinking about seemingly unrelated things. So you never know where some connections of wisdom are going to come from. When you do start your research, learn about the reality of the current situation, what it's like on the ground here today. So if you have an example for the debate, face coverings should be banned in public places. You might want to determine the actual legality of face coverings in Canada in certain situations. So, for example, did you know that in 2007, Quebec allowed voters to mask their face while they were voting? And then in 2011, Canada banned face coverings for citizenship oaths. So those are some realities. So those are the kind of things that you want to actually look up and get some facts to find out what's really happening. And then as a step further, go beyond Canada and find out what things are like outside of the country and find out what the different laws and customs are around the world. Next, as you actually start to approach your topic, consider if there are a few broad angles that you can actually tackle for this subject. Does the resolution have any impacts which are sociological, political, logical or practical, environmental, economical, legal, ethical, or moral, to name a few? Once you have a few themes in mind, aim for 3 themes, you and your partner can together brainstorm arguments which follow along these themes but are on slightly different tacks or different angles. So I'll give you an example. Consider the debate, roundabouts are better than traffic lights. One of your 3 themes can be an environmental impact. And from this one theme of environmental, you can actually have lots of arguments that come out of that. So, for example, the Prime Minister could say that roundabouts don't consume electricity. So therefore, the energy would be saved, and then any pollution-generating power generators would be reduced. So you're lowering your carbon footprint. And then the second speaker for the government could then follow that by saying that roundabouts are reducing the idling by the cars that are participating in those roundabouts. And then that drops the carbon footprint for the vehicle itself. So you've got one theme across the entire team with different arguments. And then you've got these 2 distinct arguments raising organically from a single theme, which is great. Then don't just stop at your arguments. You want to make sure that your arguments are well supported with relative and relevant research. The points I just mentioned sound reasonable, they sound clear. Well, sure, a roundabout, you don't have lights, there's no power. But you don't want to just say that even though it appears to be clear. You want to back that up. So, for example, are there any statistics for energy consumption of traffic lights from Ontario Power Generation or Hydro One, etc.? Are there any studies measuring the idling emissions from vehicles at red lights? You want some facts, you want some information. And then use a broad range of sources. Don't just look at Wikipedia. Can you find articles from recognizable news sources around the world? Can you find studies from reputable journals that are coming from official statistics from government sources like Statistics Canada? Those are hard facts, and they really add credence to your case. And finally, there must be a clear and logical link between your content, your source, and your argument. So you can't just say something and then say, oh, and this is backed up by time. You have to actually have a reasonable link. And finally, when you're in the middle of doing your research, take a look at the points which support the opposing side. So think about what the opposition is going to come up with. And then don't just use those counterpoints as your entire argument. Don't just debate against what you think the opposition is going to say before they even say it. But be mindful of what the other side has so that you can kind of do a little bit of research, do a little bit of thinking about what they might surprise you with, and then you can have that all kind of ready in your back pocket for when it comes to rebuttal and refutation time. So don't just do straw man fallacy. Don't argue against something that hasn't been said yet. So, for example, for the debate, dogs are better than cats, consider reasons why cats would be good companions, and then consider if there's any flaws in the logical reasoning around those arguments, just to be ready for them. Just have these ideas handy. The last thing I'll say about things that you want to prepare for is see if you can find any fun quotes or any puns or jokes that you want to add in for some style points. So prepare, see if there's anything that's clever, and it's something that can make your presentation more memorable. And it also comes back to what makes you unique when you're presenting behind the stage. So these are the members that are here tonight, each person has their own style that they've developed here over the years. So you want to start developing your own style and see how you want to prepare for that. So that comes over time. And I've kind of tricked you while walking you through this presentation to talk about the adjudication scorecard, which is actually how we judge and how we score our debates. So first we talk about argument, and I'll read the right-hand side, which is for a perfect score. So for arguments, all of your arguments are very persuasive and relevant. For content, you've got compelling evidence for all arguments. For your rebuttal and refutation, you've got devastating and gripping rebuttals, which is great if you've prepared for them. And teamwork, you've got a focused and it's seamless and it's balanced. Again, you've got the same arguments you've got the same themes coming from the same side, no contradictions. And finally, for style and rhetoric, it's perfectly compelling and entertaining. So those are all of the tools I can give you to put together a perfect debate. Thank you.